And after falling at home to Michigan State over a month ago, Penn State women's volleyball has ripped off 11 consecutive victories. Braxton Miller and Ohio State scored quickly on their first drive of the game, but Christian Hackenberg and Penn State nearly answered. Penn State came to the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh looking for a program-changing win, and they nearly got it. Thanks, Tori. Coming up in sports, Penn State looks to bounce back from the loss at Ohio State. Ed Ruth will not travel with the wrestling team this weekend. According to head coach Cale Sanderson, Ruth violated team rules earlier this week. Now keep an eye on Allen Robinson. The wide receiver is 42 yards away from breaking the school record for receiving yards in a single season set by Bobby Ingram in 1995. Kickoff is at noon. Thanks, Allie. More on that game later, but first, a lot has been made about Bill O'Brien's future at Penn State. I sat down with the coach during the bye week. Is there one program out there that you look at and say, you know what, we want to be like them?
It's a great question. I do. I look at certain programs for certain things.
Yeah, guys, Christian Hackenberg and Penn State get out to a 14-0 lead. They couldn't really put Purdue away until the end of the game, but they end up winning the game 45-21. So the grounds crew right behind me prepares Beaver Stadium for one final game this year. I'm Willie Jungles, joined by Sean McGonigal, the Daily Collegian, for Bill O'Brien's daily press conference wrap-up on Tuesday. Penn State football is 5-1 following a loss under Coach Bill O'Brien, and after a blowout defeat to Ohio State, the Lions will look to rebound versus Illinois tomorrow. Welcome to a special roundtable discussion to cap off the 2013 football season here on the Center County Report. I'm Willie Jungles. From the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, I'm Willie Jungles for the Center County Report. Penn State came to the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh looking for a program-changing win, and they nearly got it, leading at halftime before ultimately falling 78-69 to the Pitt Panthers. But after the game, head coach Pat Chambers was not about moral victories.
We're tired of everybody talking about us like we're not a good team. And aren't you proud to be on the same floor? What does that mean? What does that really mean? We're a good team. We're a good basketball team. Get used to it.
Pat Chambers was fed up. After suffering another close defeat in a winnable game, the Penn State head coach made it clear that the Nittany Lions' expectations are not just to compete with big-time programs, but to beat them.
Our attitude has changed. Our mindset has changed. We're competing at a high level. We're not seeing great results the last two games, but we're getting there.
You don't think people take it seriously?
No, not at all.
Why? I'm curious.
I'm sure because of history.
Chambers was questioned if a competitive game against an established program like Pitt would help the perception, which Chambers replied, yeah, if you win. He then was grilled about a loss earlier in the season to another in-state opponent.
Don't you think beating Bucknell would help that? No?
Yeah, I agree. Nice low blow, but yeah, I agree. You're right.
Penn State will look to bounce back against Marshall on Saturday, but they will have to endure a long 3-hour ride home to State College. From the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh for the Center County Report, I'm Willie Jungles. Now over to high school football. The playoffs have finally arrived, and it's that time of year when every team has one goal, a state championship. For the State College Little Lions, their title run begins tonight against Mifflin County. Tonight's District 6 showdown at Memorial Field features two teams that faced each other just 2 weeks ago. The Little Lions traveled to Mifflin County on October 25th and beat the Huskies 26-21. But this time around, they would like a much better performance.
We have to be able to stop them, not let them drive it down our throats like we did last time, and be able to also convert. We had a couple of opportunities to score last time, and we didn't. So we've got to be able to move the ball on offense and, again, stop their rushing attack because they are bigger than us, they are stronger than us, and they do hit, so we've got to be able to answer that.
Answering Mifflin County's intensity will be a big key for State College tonight because the Huskies have nothing to lose. They are chomping at the bit to end State College's 5-year reign as District 6 champs. Tonight's playoff game is set to kick off at 7 p.m. Tomorrow afternoon, Penn State men's basketball begins their season against Wagner. Head coach Patrick Chambers is set for his third season on the job. And to get an insider's look on his tenure so far, Alex Gilliland sat down with Chambers in an exclusive one-on-one interview. Hey, I'm Willie Jungles, live outside Beaver Stadium with your sports. As you can see behind me, there are no campers. That's because Nittanyville is not camping until 3 o'clock today due to the weather. But as Travis just showed you, and as you can see, it is gorgeous down here. Now, the big question is what Penn State football team will show up in Beaver Stadium tomorrow. They've been inconsistent all year. The one thing they've been consistent at is turning the ball over, and it's been a major problem for the Nittany Lions. A lot going on in sports this week. Hopefully they can get a couple wins here at Penn State for Tori's birthday, and we'll see if they can make that happen. I'm Willie Jungles outside Gate 8. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Willie.
With New England, you guys were the standard of the NFL. Every franchise wants to be like New England. Some would say Ohio State's the standard of the Big Ten up until this point. They haven't lost under Urban Meyer. What do you have to do as a program to overtake them as that standard? You were in the position that you were the standard in the NFL. Now, how do you take down the standard?
That's a great point, Willie. They are the standard in the Big Ten. You know, anytime you win 18 games in a row, it's hard enough to win one game. Take it from me, and to be able to do that is a testament to their program, to Urban Meyer as a head football coach.
You mentioned earlier in the interview how much you enjoy living here. You've been so warmly embraced since you came here. What's the most underrated aspect of your job that people don't get to see how much you enjoy, and what do you enjoy most about living here? Why have you enjoyed this experience so much?
Well, I mean, there's so many. I don't know. That's a great question about what's the most underrated. You know, I love coaching these kids.
From the common outsider, Ron Vanderlyn is regarded as a good recruiter and has recruited a lot of people and has been a really good linebacker coach here at Penn State. Navarro Bowman in the NFL, Sean Lee, the list goes on and on. From recruits, what was the reaction for them that he was let go?
Really not a lot, to be honest with you. I mean, Ron, a good recruiter through the years.
When you come to Beaver Stadium to watch a football game, it can be easy to overlook. But what you're watching is two teams battle on one of the finest athletic fields in the country.
It's a pride thing, you know. We spend a lot of time on this field, and that's a big deal to us.
Mark Kresovich is the group leader of the Beaver Stadium maintenance team and has been working on the field for 23 years. His team works tirelessly to make the field as good as it can be come game day, which has prompted praise from many former players.
No matter how nice the field looks, our main concern is how the field plays. We've got a lot of feedback from players that have left here and went to the NFL. I mean, they've come back. LeVar Arrington was one of them. They came back and said, I've never played on a field as well as Beaver Stadium, but we get that from a lot of them.
The field that has former Penn Staters raving consists of Kentucky bluegrass mixed with some ryegrass as well. To keep the grass as pristine as possible requires 80 gallons of paint and countless hours of time and dedication.
We'll clean up the field from that game, clean up any loose grass, sweeping that up, and then clean up the sidelines. And then Sunday we'll come in typically and do divots and then plug out any areas that are wore out, and then we'll start the next week with painting.
With his second year coming to a close, head coach Bill O'Brien is pleased with the field he calls home.
This game field is a fantastic field. I mean, it's deep-rooted. It doesn't tear up. It's got great drainage. It's basically a dry field, which is big. The grass is cut to the right length. I just think this game field is awesome.
For the Center County Report, I'm Willie Jungles.